This edition of Mac Voices is sponsored by lynda.com, the unparalleled online video training library. For a free 10-day unlimited trial, visit lynda.com/MacVoices. Welcome to Mac Voices. This is the talk of the Mac community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we get to welcome back an old friend. We've been doing a lot of that recently, but it's good to have old friends, and it's good to have them doing new things. This time we get to talk to John Brayton of Golden Hills Software. He's out with a new app called Marcato that it looks very, very interesting. I think it's going to be very useful. John, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's great to see you. Thank you, Chuck.
It's been too long, and I'm glad to see that you're out from under a rock with something new.
Thanks.
What is this the only thing that's been keeping you busy?
No, many other things too, but this is sort of my latest. This is my latest app, Marcato.
Great. So let's tell everyone what Marcato does, and then we'll get you to give us a look at it.
Okay, so Marcato is an iPhone app that lets you create site-specific browsers. It's largely inspired by, you may be familiar with Fluid on the Mac, which lets you create site-specific browsers on the Mac. And I really wanted that capability a similar capability on my iPhone. And so I decided to write an app that let me create site-specific browsers for my phone.
Okay, so some of us may be familiar with site-specific browsers on the Mac. Let's talk about that first. What are the benefits to a site-specific browser on the Mac?
Several benefits. One is if you wish to log into a website and stay logged in with more than one account. Most websites don't let you stay logged in with more than one account or let you switch between accounts. You have to log out and log back in. And it can be very convenient to just have one browser where you're logged in with one account and another browser where you're logged in with another account. Another benefit is that if you're logging into a particularly sensitive account, let's say your bank account, you may wish to do that in a dedicated browser, and that helps protect your bank account from what's called a cross-site request forgery attack. And that's where another site might have something set up where they try to submit a form to your bank account. It'll only work if you're logged in with that browser to your bank account, but that if the bank website hasn't done anything to protect themselves against it, you could have a form that tries to submit itself to your bank account that says, send someone some of your money, and you don't want that. The thing that actually inspired me to write this app, or that really motivated me to write this app, is I wanted a site-specific browser for Facebook. I have a Facebook account because it's kind of necessary to have one in 2015 and function in society. But they have some views on customer privacy that are not entirely consistent with mine. So I don't want to run Facebook's app. I don't want to run their native code on my phone. And I prefer not to even log in with Safari because I don't want Facebook tying my other web browsing activity to my Facebook account. I don't want Facebook to have any more information than I send it. I'd like it to have even less than that. So I wanted a site-specific browser just for Facebook.
So to be real clear, on the Mac, and for that matter on iOS, this is a lot different than opening on the Mac a new tab or a new window in the browser, because you're still running that common set of code. You're still looking in the same place for the cookies on your Mac and everything else.
Right. So one thing that Fluid does that Marcato cannot do is say Fluid on the Mac lets you create entirely separate apps. Marcato does not create separate apps, but it does create a separate place to store cookies and local storage and things like that for each browser. So you can have two Marcato browsers that are logged into the same site with different accounts and have entirely different data, but both of those browsers live within the Marcato app. All your Marcato browsers live within the Marcato app.
I want people to understand that very clearly, because a lot of people remember the days when we didn't have apps, and one of the things you did was you saved out something of I forget, honestly, I forget what it's called, but you saved out a shortcut to a particular website so that you could get there quickly. And that was, I mean, it was great for its time, but that runs into exactly the same problems because you're still using the Safari app or whatever your browser app, and you don't have that separation that you're looking for.
Right, and it's worth noting that you can still save out a shortcut from Safari, but yeah, you don't have that separation. You don't have that separation. Whereas with Marcato, you can create separate browsers and get that separation.
John, when you set up a Marcato application, well, I don't know what's the proper phrase for it.
Just a Marcato browser. Yes.
Okay, when you set up a Marcato browser, are you starting completely clean and fresh? It's not inheriting anything from Safari or Chrome or wherever you're creating it from?
Right. It does not get any of your. It does not have any of your data from Safari, and it does not have any of your data from your other Marcato browsers. It's a clean slate.
Okay, because that's something that if I've already been compromised in one way or another by Facebook or something more nefarious, I don't have to worry about that. That I can set this up and then feel pretty good about everything moving forward.
Right.
Okay. How complex is this to do? I mean, it sounds like it could potentially have a lot of complexity to it.
It's not complex. It's very simple to add a browser. You simply launch the Marcato app, tap a button that says Add Browser, and then you enter the name of the website and a link to get to that website. And you might enter, there are a few other options you can fiddle with if you choose to, but if you enter only those things, that's all you need to get started. And in addition, for 4 different websites, for Facebook, for LinkedIn, Twitter, and Gmail, there are predefined browsers you can use where all you do is say, I want to create a browser using this template. You give it a name, and you have a browser for that website.
Yeah, I like the idea that you set those up already, because then that just encourages me to do the right thing.
Great.
Am I limited in any way by the number of Marcato browsers that I can set up? Because when you mention Twitter, I'm right away thinking, let's see, how many Twitter accounts do I have? Should I set one up for each Twitter account?
Yeah, you can set up as many browsers as you want. There's no limit.
I see a whole screen full of dedicated browsers.
Great.
I've been referencing Safari on iOS or Chrome on iOS. What's the engine behind the Marcato browsers?
It uses WebKit. It uses just iOS web views.
So basically, it's almost like a dedicated version of Safari?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very much like that, yes.
All right. John, we talked about how simple this is, and that's, I think, sort of the beauty of this, is it is not something that's terribly complex or that you have to get a degree in programming to understand. The one thing that I did want to ask you to clarify, though, and I need to cheat here and look a little bit. When you go to create a custom browser, you have the name of the browser, the web address. Those are pretty obvious, that what you want to call it. But included hosts, and then you have a button, a slider to turn on or off, limit to hosts, and add host. Can you explain what those are and what that means?
Sure. So by default, that's there's a setting called limit to hosts, and that's off. And when that's off, if any link that you click, any form that you submit, anything like that, they will all be opened within that Marcato browser. If you have that setting on, let's say, for example, that the site you're going to is, we'll pick on Facebook again. Let's say it's Facebook. If you add a host of, by default, facebook.com and www.facebook.com would be added to the included hosts because facebook.com would be the site that you're visiting. But let's say there's a link from Facebook to, say, apple.com. The link to, if limit to hosts is on and apple.com is not in that list of hosts, that link to apple.com would open in Safari rather than in that Marcato browser.
Oh, okay. I got it. So I truly can limit my Facebook activity to just Facebook in that browser.
Right. You can make it so that clicking on a link to a third-party site, it opens in Safari rather than in that browser.
Oh, okay. That makes perfect sense. After you explain it, it makes perfect sense. Um, yeah, and just again, as another security measure, as a way to make sure that you don't get things in that browser, in the Marcato browser, that you don't want in there.
Right.
Okay.
That's the idea. That's the idea that it can be all your interaction with a site, including sites that are linked to from there, or it can just be strictly that site. And if you follow an outside link, that outside link is opened up in Safari.
Today's edition of Mac Voices is brought to you by lynda.com, the unparalleled online video training library. Lynda.com has over 3,000 on-demand video courses that cover topics like business, technology, and creative skills. And you can get a free 10-day access pass to all that training just by visiting lynda.com/macvoices. Want to go paperless? Lynda.com can help. Concerned about iPhone and iPad security? Lynda.com can help. Working on your income taxes? Lynda.com can help. Interested in 3D printing? Lynda.com can help. Those are just a few of the areas where lynda.com can get you up to speed with new skills or improve existing knowledge. Lynda.com features experts in their fields, not just somebody in their basement with a video camera, but experts who are passionate about teaching what they know. The videos are professionally recorded and produced so you can watch them from start to finish or consume them in bite-sized pieces. Many of lynda.com's courses even have tutorial files that you can download so you can work along with the instructor, ensuring that you'll get maximum learning for your time and effort. Excel, Photoshop, Final Cut, Logic, Illustrator. The list of software titles goes on and on too. The breadth and depth of lynda.com's training is just amazing. You need to sample it for yourself to find out how it can improve your vocation or your avocation. That's why you should go to lynda.com/macvoices right now and sign up for a 10-day free trial. No restrictions, no partial files, no limitations on what you can try. And you can try lynda.com on your Mac, your iPad, even your iPhone, so that you can learn where you want, when you want, how you want. And best of all, you can learn what you want. Do me a favor and do yourself a favor and try lynda.com. That's lynda.com/macvoices for your 10-day free trial. You'll be glad you did. Thanks to lynda.com for their support of Mac Voices. Is there a way to prevent outside links from ever opening up from something within a Marcato browser? I'm not quite sure why I'd want to do it, but I'll ask.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Well, in other words, if I were on Facebook and it linked out to there was an Apple link on the site. Is there a way for me to prevent the Apple link from working at all?
No, there isn't.
Okay. Like I say, I'm not sure why I'd want to. I'm trying to think of all the use cases here.
Right. No, it would either open the link in Marcato or it would open in Safari.
Okay. But that is an interesting point, that if I create a Facebook browser or a Twitter browser or whatever, and there's a link in there to another site, that it's not going to open in the Marcato browser. It's just going to jump out and open in Safari.
Right.
Okay. So if someone created a MacVoices browser and they clicked on one of my affiliate links to go to Amazon, the Amazon link's going to open normally. It's just going to it's going to kick over and open in Safari.
Right. And it's worth noting that by default, it would open in the Marcato browser. But if you had limit to hosts on and you didn't have the affiliate site in that list of included hosts, then it would open in Safari instead.
So would it not provide some additional security if when I go to, say, my credit card company or, my bank or whatever, to put that limit to hosts in?
It really depends on the site. In the case of say your bank, I can't necessarily think of what a bank would be linking to that you'd want to open in another browser, or what it would be linking to at all outside of the bank site, outside of your bank account. Twitter and Facebook are probably, or rather social media sites are where you're more likely to be opening external sites. and it doesn't necessarily provide a layer of security either way. It's almost more of a preference. To me, I think of it as, well, this is the Marcato browser that I use to access Facebook, and then any links I open from Facebook get opened up in Safari. There's certainly no harm or not much harm in opening those links right in your Marcato browser instead. It's almost more a matter of personal preference than anything else.
How about apps like 1Password, password
Mm-hmm.
managers? And in a way, maybe you wouldn't necessarily need it, because once I've created a Marcato browser that logs me into Facebook, in theory, I wouldn't need to have the Facebook password. It would be stored in there. On the other hand, I'm not sure I want to create a lot of browsers that have all my passwords already pre-filled and
Right.
ready to go. So, is Marcato compatible with something like 1Password?
Yes, Marcato supports the 1Password extensions. If you go to if you tap on the activity button at the bottom of the screen, if you have 1Password installed, 1Password is one of the things that comes up in the share sheet. In addition, LastPass, which is very similar to 1Password in function, also supports the same extension mechanism. So Marcato supports both of those natively.
Okay. I'm not a programmer, John, so I'm trying to
Mhm.
think about what would work under the hood.
Mhm.
Any issues with any of the third-party keyboards?
It should just work with the third-party keyboards. I don't use many third-party keyboards, and to be honest, I haven't gone out of my way to test them. But they should just work.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of anything that reaches out beyond the browser, beyond the OS, and is coming into this theoretically secure
Mhm.
environment. And that's why I thought about the keyboards.
Right, and you still have the keyboard limitation that you can't use a third-party keyboard to enter in a password field. That's something that iOS puts in for security, and that security limitation would be in this app as well. But you can certainly use, for example, I use this text expander keyboard, and that should certainly work fine within a Marcato browser.
It's a very cool idea, and one that's, in a way, I'm surprised someone hasn't thought of it before a long time ago,
Hmm.
because it does seem like, in a world where we're constantly fighting the security battles, and especially when it comes to certain social media and banking sites, that you would want just that isolated little environment to work in. So, congratulations. I think it's a fantastic idea, and the implementation, certainly, it's so easy. It's so easy, even I can use it. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate hearing that. It's an app. I mean, honestly, it's one of those things where I wanted the app myself, so I decided to write it.
yeah, I can see. And, again, I was joking earlier, but I honestly can sit here and think about it, that there are a number of sites that I access with my iPhone, that it would be nice not only to have a dedicated browser, but also, just for convenience sake, that I could log into different accounts on a given site
Hmm.
securely, not having things get mixed, set up different preferences for those accounts in that site, and not have
Hmm.
to dance back and forth. Because frankly, I've been doing some of this right now in different browsers,
Hmm.
and that's the way I've been managing it. But boy, it would be nice to just have dedicated uh, Marcato browsers that would let me do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I set out to do here, to make it so that you could have, one browser per site that you or per account when you need to log in, and also, sorry, I'm jumbling my words here, but that's exactly what I set out to do, is to make it easy to do exactly what you're talking about.
So how about the specifics? What kind of cost are we talking about for this? What's the licensing situation and all that?
Sure. So the app is, in the U.S. It's $4.99, available in the App Store. It's a one-time purchase, and that's all there is to it. You can buy it in the App Store for $4.99, and you own the app. There's no in-app purchase, and there's no other limitations. Just a one-time purchase.
I think it's important at this point to just mention the other app that we know you for, Cloudpull. Describe that just a little bit, because I think it's important for the folks that might not know you to have your credibility established as someone that knows how to do some of this stuff.
Oh, sure, thanks. So Cloudpull is a Mac app, and it lets you back up your Google account to your Mac. It lets you back up your Gmail, Google Contacts, Google Calendar, and your Google Drive data. It creates a local backup of everything, keeps old revisions of items and deleted items by default for 90 days, supports multiple accounts. And yeah, I've had that for sale for 4 years now, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you're someone who knows their way around browsers and what it all means, because for a lot of us, I think you start to melt down a little bit with all the security measures and cookies and what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do. And I really like this, especially on iOS, because it boils it down and makes it simple for me. It lets me pick some of the things that probably are best used in a dedicated browser, and then makes it easy for me to set up the other ones that you can't set up for me.
Right. That's a large part of the idea is the sites that I anticipate many customers going to, the four that I mentioned: Facebook, Gmail, Twitter, and LinkedIn. You can set that up with one step, and then if it's a different site, then you can set that up with 2 or 3 steps. But it's designed to be as easy as possible to just set up and get working.
For the folks that still have some questions, maybe want to see your demo movie and all, where do we send them to look for both Cloudpull and Marcato?
Sure. So my company website is goldenhillsoftware.com, all one word, goldenhillsoftware.com, and you can see the website. On the website, you can see screenshots, links to Marcato in the App Store. There's a preview video for Marcato. And in the case of Cloudpull, there's a demo that you can download directly for a free trial.
Great. Thanks so much for showing it to us, John. It's very cool. It's something I can see myself wasting a bit of time getting things set up, but then coming out ahead in productivity on the other end.
That's good to hear. Thank you, Chuck.
And let's not make it so long next time.
Agreed.
Yeah. So get to writing the next great app. Okay.
Will do.
Thanks again, John. Good to see you.
All right. Good to see you too, Chuck.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. We'll be back again soon with more great software for more great developers right here on Mac Voices. Until the next time, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and the Mac Voices blog. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter, the Mac Voices Dispatch, to stay up to date on all the latest Mac Voices news from our front page or at macvoices.com/newsletter. Do more with your Apple tech by subscribing to the free Mac Voices magazine on Flipboard by visiting macvoices.com/magazine. Advertising and sponsorships handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.